It started the way most internet storms begin, not with an explosive revelation, but with something small enough to ignore, delicate enough to slip past most people, and yet strangely persistent. No breaking news. No leaked documents. No insider confirmations. Nothing concrete at all. Instead, it rose slowly, like a wisp of smoke drifting from somewhere unseen, weaving its way into conversations before anyone realized just how far it had spread. Between the replay of a midnight livestream and a cropped screenshot shared without context, a single question appeared, subtle at first yet sharp enough to pierce the fandom like a sudden spark. Is Jungkook secretly married now? The idea sounded outrageous, almost fantastical. Jungkook, BTS's golden magne, has lived virtually his entire adult life under the brightest spotlight the entertainment industry can offer. Every step he takes is photographed, every gesture is analyzed, every accessory becomes a debate topic, and even his silence becomes a form of communication people try to decipher. Privacy is a luxury idols rarely receive, and rumors about their relationships are typically shut down by sheer impossibility. And yet, for reasons no one could fully explain, this rumor was different. It did not fade. It did not crumble under skepticism. Instead, it grew stronger, morphing from harmless fan chatter into a sweeping conversation that seemed impossible to escape. Rumors usually spark from something dramatic, but this one was born from a collection of tiny, almost incidental details. Details that, taken individually, meant absolutely nothing. A ring that appeared on one finger during a magazine shoot. That same ring missing during a concert the next day. The ring reappearing in a live stream, shining for half a second as Jungkook moved his hand. A glance that hovered slightly too long off-screen, as though someone might have been standing just beyond the camera's frame. A lyric that fans insisted sounded too emotional, too intimate, too specific to be mere artistry. By themselves, these things were fleeting and forgettable. But the internet is not a place that forgets easily. And in the collective imagination of millions, these fragments began to link together, forming the outline of a narrative that no one could confirm, yet almost everyone talked about. Fan accounts played their part, layering the rumor with theatrics and urgency. Headlines crafted for maximum impact flooded timelines. Whispers growing louder, evidence that had supposedly been overlooked, truths that they didn't want fans to uncover. The language was designed to hook, to pull fans into an unfolding story, to create the illusion that something monumental was happening behind the scenes. Some accounts claimed to have studied patterns for months. Others hinted at secret sources, speaking as though they were protecting confidential knowledge. But beneath all that noise was one repeating implication. Jungkook's life had changed in a profound way, and the public simply hadn't realized it yet. At the center of this swirling speculation stood one very simple object: a ring. Celebrity culture has always been sensitive to jewelry, but with Jungkook, the reaction was amplified 100-fold. Fans traced the ring through different appearances, comparing high-quality images, matching dates, outfits, and events. They examined which hand he wore it on, which finger, how tight or loose it fit. Some fans argued passionately that the ring placement was significant. Others dismissed the idea, pointing out that fashion styling, choreography, or brand partnerships could explain everything. Yet the debate only intensified because neither side had enough proof to silence the other. Social media acted as gasoline thrown onto an already spreading fire. Live streams were replayed in slow motion, zoomed into until the pixels blurred. Reflections in glass, shadows on the wall, faint background noises, every tiny detail became a potential clue. Wever's posts were read not for what Jungkook wrote, but for what he might have meant. Even emoji choices sparked hours of discussion, with some fans interpreting them as secret signals about his relationship status. A change in posting frequency became another detail woven into the growing web of speculation. TikTok edits added emotional music to cropped videos, creating a tone of revelation, of hidden truth waiting to be exposed, even when the footage was entirely normal. Then came the darker side of the rumor. Anonymous accounts claiming insider information surfaced. Blurry photos taken without consent were shared. Saying-style evidence leaked into the conversation, often lacking context, credibility, or ethics. But by the time anyone questioned the source or authenticity, the images had already been reshared thousands of times. Desperation for answers often overpowered caution. For some, the desire to know the truth, any truth, became more important than respecting boundaries or the privacy of the person at the center of it all. And once invasive content enters the public space, it becomes nearly impossible to erase. Every repost breathes new life into it, giving the illusion that something must be real simply because so many people have seen it. Fan-made compilation videos turned the situation into something even more dramatic. Clips from different years were stitched together in ways that suggested continuity where none existed. A ring from 2021 was shown next to a gesture from 2024. Lyrics from two unrelated albums were combined to form a supposed confession. Similar outfits or repeating colors became symbols. A laugh during an interview was reframed as a reaction to an inside joke only a spouse would understand. Once edited into a seamless montage, the narrative felt persuasive even though its foundation rested more on creative storytelling than reality. But lost beneath all the noise, beneath the theories and the decoding and the emotional overinvestment, was a simple truth that often feels too easily forgotten. Jungkook is not a puzzle. He is an artist, a human being, someone who expresses himself through music, fashion, and performance. His public life is curated and crafted by a team of professionals. His words, especially in artistic contexts, are not always literal. The urge to assign meaning to every move he makes says more about us, about the online world, about the hunger for connection, about the illusion of intimacy created by constant exposure, than it does about him. Still, the fascination around the marriage question refuses to die. Because Jungkook isn't just a celebrity to many fans. He represents youth, dedication, vulnerability, ambition, comfort. He evokes a sense of familiarity despite the enormous distance between artist and audience. So the idea that he might have taken a step into a deeply personal chapter of life, marriage, feels like a shockwave. For some fans, it's a tender realization. For others, a bittersweet ache. For a few, an unsettling disruption of fantasy. These reactions reveal less about Jungkook's actual life and more about the emotional stakes fans have placed on him. So, is Jungkook secretly married? There is no verified answer. No statement. No proof. No confirmation from any reliable source. Nothing except conjecture, interpretation, imagination, and the unmatched speed of rumor in the digital age. What exists is a remarkable demonstration of how quickly a narrative can form from fragments, how easily speculation can masquerade as truth, and how deeply fans yearn to be part of a story, even when the story isn't theirs to tell. Perhaps the real question isn't whether Jungkook is married, but why we are so eager to believe he might be. Perhaps the story reveals more about modern fandom than it does about his life. In an age where celebrities live under permanent surveillance, even the simplest moment, like adjusting a ring, becomes a potential headline. In a world where algorithm-driven platforms reward drama and speculation, rumors travel faster than facts. And in a culture that blurs the line between public persona and private self, silence can be twisted into confession. In the end, the marriage question isn't about a ring, a glance, a lyric, or a viral edit. It's about the fragile boundary between what the public sees and what remains behind closed doors. Jungkook lives under a spotlight so bright that even his most ordinary moments can be transformed into clues. In such an environment, assumptions grow faster than truth ever could. No matter how deeply admired he is, Jungkook does not owe the world an explanation for every detail of his life. His journey, whether shared openly or guarded privately, belongs to him alone. As fans, perhaps the most meaningful support isn't in decoding every moment, but in offering space, respect, and trust. Until Jungkook himself chooses to speak, the mystery remains a mystery, not evidence of a secret, but a reflection of a world that watches too closely, interprets too boldly, and imagines too vividly. In a time where curiosity often overwhelms boundaries, this story reminds us that admiration should never cross into entitlement. In an era where imagination travels faster than truth, perhaps the clearest message is this: Not all mysteries are meant to be solved, and not every whisper deserves to become a narrative. Sometimes, the most respectful thing we can offer is simply silence, letting the man behind the myth breathe freely in the space we choose not to fill with our assumptions.